I don't know what to say, really.
Don't worry, Al. I got you because it's Mock Monday. That's all that needs to be said. Let's go. It's that time. I'm vibed. I can't wait, man. This week was incredible. And this one produced one of my favorite games of the season thus far. The Bucks for Seattle, Baker versus Sam Darnold. That was incredible. And you look at Emeka Buka versus Jackson Smith and Jigba, two insane wide receivers, maybe even top 5 wide receivers in the league right now. Unbelievable game. Tristan Wirfs was utterly dominant at left tackle. I was just like going back and forth on the edge of my seat watching that one. There were so many good games. I want to start off though. Before we get into the mock draft, I'll definitely put a little thumb or timestamp for that. But in terms of purely MVPs, offense, defense, special teams, my offensive MVP. Let's talk about some notables first because there's a lot. And I'm going to miss a couple of these. We'll go as we do each team. We'll try to hit some more notables and stuff like that, strengths and weaknesses with teams. As I mentioned before, Emeka Buka, Tristan Wirfs, Baker Mayfield, all insane. I thought for Kool-Aid, Jonas Sanker, Jordan Howden, that secondary was incredible. Really, Demario Davis was really good at linebacker this week. The Saints played their heart outs and they got their first win of the season. That was unbelievable. Jalen Petre's interceptions, that first one especially, was incredible. Houston's offensive line was way better this week. You go on to the Monty touchdown pass in his hometown. That was so cool. Keep that record going now, tying Emmitt Smith and Daryl Johnston for most consecutive touchdown games. 14, I believe, is the number that they're at. Jamar Chase had some crazy plays. You go on, Darrell Waller played an excellent game, was kind of uncoverable. Xavier Legette kind of had his first little breakout game in his career. Javonte Williams, Jake Ferguson, Ryan Flournoy, George Pickens. Like that offense was humming over for Dallas and Dak Prescott. Bill Krosky-Merritt was unbelievable. Some great catches, great runs. And then you got to, Dalton Kincaid, Drake May. I thought they were all excellent there. I mean, Buffalo had some costly mistakes that ended up them losing the game, but overall, really good. Quinn Nelson was really close to winning my MVP. If there was room for this other guy, I think I would have given the nod to Quinn Nelson. I was laughing so hard in that game watching that. Just like, I wasn't even watching the game that much anymore. I was just watching number 56, Quinn Nelson, destroy defensive linemen. Whether it was on pull blocks, one-on-ones, duos, it did not matter. He was just insane. Quentin Nelson, Big Q, was a monster this week. Insane. I can't say that enough. Pittman had a great week. I mean, Buck, Grover, it was more of defensive candidates and stuff like that. But my MVP for offense, getting to it, I know that was a long-winded, but there were so many guys I even missed still. Rico Dowdle, also the announcer in that game, was incredible. Both of them. But Rico Dowdle carried that team to a win, put the team on his back, and was the MVP for me on offense. Insane game from Rico Dowdle. On defense, I'll keep it a little more simple. I already talked about some players I've highlighted. Levante David, another one. Great interception, timely interception. But my defensive player of the week is going to go to Jeffrey Simmons. I loved the way he played this week and throughout the entirety season. I'm moving my rankings up on Jeffrey Simmons. He's going to be a superstar X factor for me because he is just utterly dominant. In one-on-one reps, he made guards look silly, led that team as well in the defense to a victory in my eyes. He is playing balls out right now all day long. Jeffrey Simmons is an animal. So he wins my defensive player of the week. My special team player, I'm going to go with Eddie Pinheiro. I thought he was clutch. I thought, even he made some big time kicks. I love the one that slid on the post there and ended up getting the game winner in overtime. So it is time to get into the mock draft. Let me know your MVPs, offense, defense, special teams. I always love to see it, man. I think it was an incredible week for the NFL. And now we get into the actual mock draft itself. This is my order. This is something I made. It's a little overreaction from this weekend. Look, we got the Indianapolis Colts on the Super Bowl champions. Let's go. That would be crazy. What a story that would be. I'd be going crazy for that. Here in Indy, rock it out. Let's go. Let's make it happen. Indiana Jones. But with the New York Jets, my favorite team in the NFL too, which is funny, but we're picking a number one, the exact opposite over here. Yeah, where to begin with the Jets? Their defense right now is playing. I mean, their offense isn't. I mean, Justin Fields got it going at the end of the game. The Cowboys were like playing in a different lax speed at that point. I felt like the defense, though, was just like they made so many big mistakes. Is the problem? Like they play good at times, but then they would just like gaff. And Brandon Stevens, get Azariah Thomas out there or get somebody else. I don't care what you got to do. I'm just saying right now, maybe we traded for Tennessee's corner. What's his name? Jarvis Brownlee, get him out there. I don't care. Like, I don't know. Stevens really, to me, has struggled this season. Even Sauce Gardner's had his moments. It was a tough matchup against Pickens, and Pickens playing balls out as well. Like, he's been insane. I think that the quarterback is going to be the conversation when you're picking a number one overall. Even though Rueben Bain is very, very, very tempting here, I'm not going to lie. I would love to take Rueben Bain too. But quarterback is still the thing that I look at here as the top need. I'm going at Dante Moore of the future here from the Oregon Ducks. I'm a Ducks fan as well, so I'm taking him here at number one. We don't have to trade up for a quarterback. We can just simply stick and pick, and we're going to take him. For the Bengals at number two here, and the Bengals, well, they just don't have an offense without Joe Burrow. I think their top need is coaching actually right now. So it is what it is. But their offensive line actually did a pretty good job this week. I'll be honest. They held their own. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson and still got some pressure. Almost had a safety, got called back. But any which way, I'm going to go Rueben Bain. Even though they've invested in this defensive line. It's just one of those areas where it's BPA, and I'm not going to pass up on this guy. Even if you have a dynamic duo that works out with Shamar and Hendrickson and Bain and Miles Murphy, who did get a sack this week, I don't care. You're going to rotate these guys, and if you have 4 elite pass rushers, there ain't no problem with that, all right? I'll just tell you that right now. There ain't no problem with that, at least not in my book. Not the top need on the roster. I'm taking Rueben Bain. He's BPA, one of the best players, if not the best player in college football right now. Browns. I don't know. I was saying the Bengals on the Browns. So here we go at number 3, the other division team. And the Browns, the offense, Gabriel was a little, again, it's his first full-time start. It was a little up and down. I thought at the end of the game, he had his moments there, and just when you see some progression there with Gabriel as it goes along. Overall, we'll see how it goes. I'm going to be looking at offensive line here. And simply put, I just feel like it's such a big need for this football team. And while I still think quarterback is very much in play for the Browns, and we'll continue to monitor the situation, I think Shedeur Sanders is going to get an opportunity at some point. So I'm very excited to see that too. As of right now, though, you got to improve that offensive line. It has just not been good enough. Yeah, they've had injuries. Still, to me, that is an area that they need to address. Fanu's been okay this year. I don't think the tape is maybe worth number 3 overall at the moment, but he is a very good prospect and somebody that has the elite athleticism, somebody that certainly can be their stalwart at one of those tackle positions, whether it's left tackle, right tackle. I think he can do either with that athleticism he has. I'm not seeing him play left tackle, so there is a little bit of a projection in that. I am just taking the best offensive lineman here that I think, Mawanoa to me has been the best offensive lineman in college football that's draft eligible right now. However, I do think Fanu has more upside, has more traits that translate a little bit more to the NFL. So there's that. That's why I'm going with Fanu there. Raiders here at number 4. And wow, it is a mess right now. I am not putting this on Geno Smith, though. I think that they've just got so many other holes. I'm going to take a weapon for Geno Smith next season. A wide receiver. I mean, they were without Brock Bowers in this one. That's a problem. Their offensive line's not been good. They just had so many drops. Thornton's a young player. I get that. You got Besh still coming along. They need another playmaker. Tyson can be that true number 1 wide receiver on the outside as a true wide receiver for them. And that's why I'm going to take Jordan Tyson here. He's also just BPA in my eyes. I think Jordan Tyson's a top 5 player in this draft class, and that's why I'm going with Jordan Tyson, the Arizona State man, closer to home too. New Orleans at number 5. The Saints, Rattler's played pretty dang good, man. He really has. So at this point, I'm just thinking, how about we go a little bit a different route? I'm going to stick with the theme of continuing to add more pass rush to this defensive line and get better in the trenches. I'm going to go with Keldrick Falk from Auburn, the pass rusher who is got some really heavy hands. He reminds me a lot of Mikael Williams over at San Francisco, who's playing really, really good. And definitely would be a nice option for them in this team, even though there's a couple of different, I wouldn't hate even Mekhi Lemon conversation at this point. That's an option, even though Shaheed played a great week. Olave played solid too. I'm going to improve the defensive line, though, and add in Keldrick Falk here from Auburn. Titans at number 6. They got a little lucky, I'll be honest, but Cam Ward was clutch. He was super clutch this week. I mentioned earlier, Jeffrey Simmons was an absolute baller. And man, that was crazy. So I'm really happy to see they got their first win. I thought that Cedric Gray and Michael Carter's high five to it was awesome. I love that early in the game. That was crazy. That was good. Obviously, former teammates. With this draft pick here for the Titans, I'm looking at a couple of different areas for Tennessee. Pass rush is a big area that they still need to improve upon. It wasn't horrendous this week. I thought they did a pretty good job. It is still a long-term need. I don't know if I'm forcing number 3 pass rusher like edge rusher off the board at this point. So I'm going to go in a little bit of a different route here. I'm actually going to improve their secondary, and I'm going to go with a cornerback. I'm going to go take Jermod McCoy here, the corner from Tennessee, yet to play this season. The injury question is a big deal, and you might be saying, oh, no, not another injured corner out here. What are you trying to do to us? We've already seen that with Jerry Sneed. Jerry Sneed had his best game that I have seen of him as a Titan, so that's something I do want to say. I love the effort, too. That's what I'm talking about. He maybe won the game for them in many ways with the DeMercado fumble. That's a whole different separate point. That's here we go again. A.D. Mitchell last week, now DeMercado this week. I'm going Jermod McCoy here. Mansour Delaney's been a great option, too, to watch out for. He's played great this year, but I will go with McCoy. Still a little higher on McCoy at this moment. On to the G-Men at number 7. They kind of blew this game a little bit in my eyes, and there were a couple reasons. I love Burnsy, man. Burns played a great game. Sexy Dexy still doesn't look 100%. He's had some missed tackles out there, and you could tell. I think he's hampering an injury. In terms of need here, I thought the secondary took a little bit of a step back this week. I think that the offensive line is still something that they need to think about long haul. I know I keep putting Maui Noah to this football team, and I'm trying to think of ways to shake it up. But at the same time, I just think it's the biggest sort of need that they go into the offseason, even though their offensive line was actually good this week. It really was. So I want to state that even though the Saints pass rush, we talk about, we just improved the pass rush by getting Keldrick Falk. I don't think their pass rush is anything insane. So that's why I'm going to continue the trend here, improve the offensive line. I know. It is what it is. I'm going Francis Maui Noah. Man, I got bugs flying in my nose. I'd be like, I'm getting assaulted out here. Call HR. But odds for the Dolphins. It's wild. I'm tripping on you. These Nats, they're getting aggressive after me. Maybe I got something on me. Speaking of aggressive, the Finns, what do we do with them? Because I think what lost them the game was their run defense, and it's so bad. Their tackling was horrific from the secondary. They couldn't do a thing. It just really couldn't. So multiple needs for this football team. Really multiple needs. I know Tua's going to get the front of the blame. The offensive line was not good again this week. Savanaia struggled. You name it. A lot of people struggled on that offensive line. I thought Brewer didn't play his best game, missed some blocks. Overall, it was not the greatest offensive line performance. Waddle had a great game, though, and so did Darren Waller. Waller had a great game, too. I thought Tua played a pretty dang good game as well. It's just their defense was so bad against the run. It's tempting to take Peter Woods. At the same time, I also know the defensive tackle is a position that is more of a grown man position. I think they need to bring in a veteran, that run defender in free agency this offseason to help out Kenny Grant. I mean, they got Biggers there. They've got they also drafted Jordan Phillips, who's been playing a lot right now. Those guys are just getting barreled over. That's what it is. But they still have potential, and I do think that down the line, as they get stronger, we're going to see improvements. I'm tempted, okay? I'm tempted. Seiler's not playing either great in the run game either, so there's that. However, I'm going to go a different route here. I just think that when you're looking at this Dolphins team, you're looking at the team for the future. Their secondary needs help. And I'm going to take Mansour Delaney, the LSU corner, who has been playing lights out this year. And I do think there's a bit of a drop-off at corner after this. So I'd rather lock in one of these cornerbacks here, and rather than get a wide receiver too. Mekhi Lemon is interesting here, especially if Tyreek gets traded this offseason. But I don't think wide receiver is their top need. I think that you're looking at corner here as a big area that they have to improve upon this offseason. Panthers at number 9. They could use a guy like Caleb Downs to cover some tight ends. I'll tell you that right now. They really could. They still have invested in Lathan Ransom. It would make sense to continue investing in Caleb Downs. I'm actually going to take his teammate and somebody who I think is the best player on Ohio State's defense right now, Arvell Reese, the Buckeye. He is one of the best players in college football right now. Arvell Reese is still kind of underrated in a general sense. You just turn on that film. Him and Sonny Styles are utterly dominant on that defense. I think they're playing better than Caleb Downs. And Downs is a great football player, too. This guy is kind of like a hybrid linebacker, heat-seeking missile type, right? And that's no discredit to Downs. Like, he is definitely a good football player. But I think Reese and Styles are underrated in the conversation when we're talking about this as a whole on their defense. Caden Curry's been good. McDonald's been good on that defensive line. Yeah, they've got some good football players. Downs is definitely one of them. But I do think that Styles and Arvell Reese need to have that conversation on, you know what, maybe Arvell Reese is maybe their best player on the defense. I don't know. I'm just saying Arvell Reese is so good. He is just unbelievable. He's not the most athletic guy, but he is so strong. He's so long. And for that size, he's really athletic. Cardinals here at number 10. Cardinals, I'm going to go ahead, even though Marvin Harrison kind of had a bit of a breakout, especially in the first half. That catch was insane in double cover. That's what we need to see. Marvin Harrison was dominant in the first half there. The offensive line, though, is kind of a sneaky need for them. Like, no joke. Their offensive line is not great. I just don't know, like, in terms of the interior, they need to improve there. I mean, tackle-wise, they're fine. Paris Johnson's unbelievable. He actually had one of the best blocks, 2 of the week. He kind of caved into the offensive line, allowed a big run for DeMarcado, who ended up fumbling, of course. It is what it is. Anyway, I am going to go with wide receiver. I think it's the best player available right now, even if offensive line maybe is a little top or of a priority. I still think they need another weapon besides McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr. So Mekhi Lemon, let's bring him into the offense here. He has been so good. He's an extreme yak weapon, too. You put him in there, I think he'd be a good complement with what you have in MHJ and Michael Wilson. And then we go on to number 11, and the Minnesota Vikings are now on the clock. Skull, skull, skull. And here for Minnesota, what do? Well, I am going to have the first trade come off the board here from in front of the Rams, all right? Because quarterback might be a little bit of a conversation, you know, right? Even though Matthew Stafford's been unbelievable. I'm not talking about that, but they could be thinking about their quarterback of the future. Stafford going to last year of his contract, as many injuries as he's had, they need to start thinking about that. So here is the first trade. It is with Minnesota. They've had a bit of a lack of draft capital, too, at times. So even though this year they've got tons and tons of draft capital, so they're pretty good shape in terms of this year. I'll say that. They've set themselves up. I am going to trade, though, with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going to come up. I'm going to give up a pick. Let's go second round and actually, no, we're going to go third round and a first rounder next year for pick number 11 to force this move up. The deal is done there. And now, who am I coming up for, right? You're thinking to yourself, uh-oh, which quarterback is he coming up for? I do like John Mateer a lot. We're gonna hold off on John Mateer at the moment, just with the injury sort of thing. I don't know. And I want to see him come back. I'm a huge Sean Mateer fan, and it is very tempting. But we're going to go with Fernando Mendoza, the Hoosier. He's been playing really solid. Not his best week versus Iowa, but he did have one of the best cover 2 shots you're gonna see in college football, or from any quarterback. He fit that thing in a laser. I thought Elijah Surratt played really good too in that game. Cooper's a good player. Didn't have as insane week as he did the week before, but he's been really good. I am taking Mendoza here for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Gives them a franchise quarterback, and maybe their Jared Goff meets Drake May or something like that of this offense. They've been looking for that. And find your long-term replacement for Aaron Rodgers. On to the Rams here. Would I still consider quarterback? Absolutely. Cornerback got a little I mean, I will say Kobe Durant didn't have his best week this week, and that was something that was definitely notable for me. So their secondary did take a bit of a step back. Is there a corner on the board currently that I'm super high on to take here? I like Keith Abney a lot. I think Abney's a really good football player, and it's just I kind of want a little bit more size in the room. That's the only thing I would say. So simply put, I'm going to hold off for right now with that. I'm going to take an offensive tackle. I'm going to go right tackle of the future. We're going to go take the tackle from Texas, the freak himself, Trevor Gooseby, wherever he is. Where is Gooseby, actually? I don't even see him here. Am I missing something? I probably already passed him. Like, you already passed him, G-Sling. What are you doing? Trevor Gooseby, help me find him. Somebody, I need a lifeline out here. Oh, there he is. Okay, geez Louise. Yeah, I did pass him pretty hard. Gooseby from Texas, hook 'em horns. I've not watched the most recent tape versus Florida, so I'm very curious to see because Florida's got some dudes. They got Tyree Sapp out there. I'm going to watch that one-on-one matchup. But Gooseby's got elite traits. I don't think he's got as good of athletics, like lateral agility, as maybe some people say, but he definitely is a really good athlete and somebody that has the strength profile, has really good length, good size, all the tools. He has right tackle experience as well, so that's kind of makes it a little bit easier for me, I guess, as a mock drafter to say, hey, we can plug him over there, right tackle. We're cool. He's done it before, right? No, I'm cool with it. I am. I think that'd be a solid pick for them to help out. Ravens, number 13. This is an easy pick. I'm not even going to look at the board. I'm taking Peter Woods, Clemson defensive tackle, and I am so happy because that's exactly what this football team needs. Defensive lineup, BPA, Peter Woods on the board. Yes, thank you so much. Maybe not this incredible season we were looking for from Peter Woods, but he's still a very, very, very good football player. He is consistent with shedding one-on-one blocks. That's what's important, too, for me when I'm watching the reps out there from a pure NFL scout purposes. On to the Bears at number 14 overall. Well, the Bears, I'm going to continue to improve the pass rush here. Caleb Downs does get a little interesting, I will say at this point. Sonny Styles, another player that I would very much consider here. Air Love, very much to talk about as well. So there's a lot of really interesting football. Like, actually, any three of these guys, those are the three that I would probably be looking to take at this point on the board. And it really just comes down to Jaquan Brisker's future. Bayard's been playing unbelievable, so I'm not going to find, I don't need to do that. It just kind of would be, do we feel confident in Brisker continuing on? Parker would add another help into the edge room, or do you want to go get your dominant running back? And it is a tough one, man. I'm just higher on Jeremiah Love than TJ Parker, so I'm going to go with Jeremiah Love. Even if you say the positional value is what it is, I just think Love is a really good football player. I've yet to watch the North Carolina film on TJ Parker. Statistically, he had his best game of the season, and that is good to see. Like, we need to see more of that with TJ Parker. Got to get into that film on that North Carolina game. But speaking of North Carolina, Bill Belichick, he's like, oh, man, maybe I shouldn't have left the Patriots. But speaking of the Patriots, Drake May was unbelievable this game, and he's been unbelievable this season thus far, too. The offensive line has looked like a completely new offensive line under Mike Vrabel. So got to give credit to that coaching staff. The defense played really tough as well. I do still think pass rush is an area that they can improve upon, even though it was good. Milton Williams had a great game. They did a good job, but getting another pass rusher is something that I still think is a top need for this football team. So that's really the route that I'm going to go here. Now, it is a little limited in who I would like next, but I'm actually going to go ahead and take Mateo Uiagalelei here from Oregon. The Oregon Duck, I think he's had a really good season and somebody I feel very good about being a consistent pass rushing presence for this New England Patriots team. And yes, maybe you could say we could take somebody like TJ Parker with a little more upside there. And that's fair enough. Or even a David Bailey. If you're looking for more of an outside, like pure DPR early on, he's going to need to continue to build up his play strength. That's the big thing with Bailey. But Mateo Uiagalelei, young prospect as well, and going to be a good pass rusher for them in the future. Cowboys at number 16 overall. I'm going to take Caleb Downs here. Build the secondary up. It's a BPA for Jerry Jones and this secondary. Let's find a stalwart in that back end. Malik Hooker is still under contract, but he'll be a replacement for Donovan Wilson in a very similar mold to what Donovan Wilson does. I think Caleb Downs is a major upgrade from what Donovan Wilson does so well in the box. On to the Bolts at 17. It's such a difficult one with the Ravens and the Bolts. These are great football teams that are just banged up. They're so injured. They just are. And that offensive line cannot protect Herbert right now. When you lose both your tackles, it is a tough sledding. And their interior offensive line is not great either. So it is the top need. I mean, Parker Lou, I could see him coming back this offseason. I really could. He hasn't played his best. He hasn't put his best season together. I am going to be taking, boy, this is tricky. It is really tricky when you look at it as a whole because their defensive line didn't play bad this week. I thought they did a pretty good job even with the injuries that they've had. But I want to improve the pass rush. I think that for the long haul, they need some more edge talent. And we're going to go take TJ Parker from Clemson, build up the defensive line here, give them another power player off the edge or, some speed to power off the edge and TJ Parker. So that's where I'm going to go. I don't necessarily love it, but at the same time, I do think that he is somebody at this point in the draft, and especially with who's off the board now, he's kind of like the next best guy that I'd be looking at for the Chargers to improve their defense line of the future because it is something that they need to really invest in. And then we go on to the Seahawks here. Sam Darnold, as I mentioned before, K9 had a good week. The offensive line wasn't too bad either. I thought they did a decent job protecting Darnold throughout the game. Their defense needs to get a little bit better, and their secondary, to me, is the standout that has to get better, and that's where I'm going to improve here. I am going to go after Keith Abney from Arizona State. I think one of the more fluid corners in college football. Sounds like the Ohio State University, but in college football. really good football player and can help lock it down with Witherspoon out there. It is something that they really did struggle with this week. Yeah, Woolen did get injured, and Pritchett had to step in and kind of got picked on a little bit. He made some plays, but just kind of got picked on. It is what it is. So I'm going to improve the secondary here, and with Woolen being a free agent too, I figured it's not a bad option to do something like that. So on to the Vikings here after the trade down in Minnesota. I will be taking a look at BPA for this football team. Jettas, as I mentioned earlier, had a great game. Jordan Addison came winning touchdown pass there. But when in terms of needs for this football team, I would say that we need to just continue to improve this football team, whether it's linebacker, and that's what I'm going to do here. Let's find somebody in there like Sonny Styles, who I think is a top-notch football player in this draft class. Him and Arvell Reese, that I keep mentioning over and over again, are the best linebacking duo in college football. They are incredible. They are playing on a different level right now. And why not just take a guy? If Ivan Pace isn't re-signed, well, Sonny Styles gives you a plug-and-play right there and will help improve this linebacking core for sure. On to the San Francisco 49ers here at number 20. And for number 20, the 49ers, Mac Attack. Woo! He was playing injured too. He was playing like a gladiator this week. In terms of needs for this football team, I would say there's a couple of different areas that we could look for the 49ers. I continue to like looking at secondary. Dylan Thieneman, I know it's something I did last week, but I really, really like Thieneman. And I think Thieneman is a guy that could be a plug-and-play starter for them. I also am a huge fan of Kamari Ramsey. Like Ramsey, Thieneman, both really good football players. They need to improve their secondary a little bit more. Both guys out west, too. I'm just going to take Thieneman here, and I feel good about it because I think he's just going to help out that secondary so much. And Siegel, he does get picked on a lot, so he's going to get a lot of targets. He also made a huge play at the end of the game that won them the game on that big hit at the end to kind of keep Kyron, right? It was Kyron for getting the first down in overtime. But ultimately, I do still think that they can improve the secondary. It hasn't worked out with Jair Brown. They do have injuries with Mustafa, so I get that. They've invested in it, but I do think Thieneman gives them a clear path to an upgrade to help out that back end. On to the Browns at number 21 overall. And for the Browns, this pick's from Jacksonville. First pick, we went after Spencer Fanu. I said I was trying to hold off on quarterback, and I still kind of am that route right now. I'm going to add another weapon into this offense. I'm going to add in Carnell Tate from the Ohio State University. And even though Tillman's not been bad, I think they can upgrade a little bit there. And Tate would give them a clear upgrade at that position. Jerry Jeudy. Isaiah Bond's been good too. I will say Isaiah Bond's been pretty good. It's not their top need. I get it. Quarterback is something. Ty Simpson, maybe we could look at this point. You could totally make the argument for going quarterback, but at the end of the day, I just think their offense needs a big time improvement. I'm going Carnell Tate here, changing it up a little bit. Quarterback, we'll talk more and more about as the season goes on. I just need to see a little bit more. That's kind of what it comes down to. Cowboys, number 22 overall here. And for Dallas, I am going to be looking. I still look at secondary back-to-back. I like that a lot. But with George Pickens playing the way he's playing, I think he gets re-signed. And for a very good reason, he deserves it. He's been playing out of his mind. Got somebody on my mind. And his name is Avion Terrell, the cornerback from Clemson. I know Chris Johnson's getting a lot of love right now at San Diego State. I've got to go watch this dude. He had a huge pick six for them. So very curious to see what Chris Johnson's all about over there. He's going to be a dude that watch out at the Senior Bowl, right? That's really where he's going to make or break some things there. But I'm going to go to Avion Terrell from Clemson. Really fluid corner. Somebody that I think just is a very solid prospect. I don't know if he's going to be an elite player, but I do think he's going to be a good football player. Yes, he is AJ Terrell's brother, so there's the bloodlines there. I love that. And he's not been perfect out there or anything like that, but I do think he is a good football player and somebody, even if he is a little undersized and he can get mossed a bit, I think he's very, very solid and in good position 9 out of 10 times. So Avion Terrell there to improve the secondary double dip action for the Dallas Cowboys with Caleb Downs and Avion Terrell. I think that's a revamped secondary. I'm pretty down with that. Let's put it that way. On the Houston Texans here at 23. I know we keep saying offensive line, right? But woo, they played good this week. I mean, they really did. I'm not saying that they can't improve the offensive line because they still can. It's still a need for them, no doubt about it. But I'm going to go a little bit of a different route for this football team. I think there's other areas this team could look at as well. And to me, defensive line is something to watch out for, right? And continuing to invest in the defensive line, finding the long-term D'Amico Ryans guy that fits the bill. I think Big Citrus over at Iowa State kind of is a D'Amico Ryans cat and somebody you put on that defensive line. He is a high motor effort player that plays out of his mind. He's a great run defender, and he's got some juice to get after the quarterback as well. Very low to the ground player. Dominique Orange, once again, Big Citrus onto that defensive line going to the Houston Texans. They continue the Iowa State theme over here. And Orange is a guy in a draft class, too, that I think isn't maybe the strongest put together. I think it makes a lot of sense to continue to invest in that defensive line. The clock, we got the Commanders, number 24 overall. Wow, some interesting spots that this team could go after. First up, I would say cornerback is kind of a sneaky need for this team for sure. Edge rush, though, is the top need, even though their pass rush has actually been pretty dang good at this season. Armstrong had another big game. Payne is playing out of his mind, so there's that. He's like, hey, I'm going into a year where I could be cut, so he's on fire this year. He's playing with the pain. Their defensive line in general has been playing really, really good. I still think, though, for the future, it is kind of the top need. Other than linebacker as well, I would say if Styles or Arvell Reeses are on the board, I'm taking one of those guys for sure. I feel confident about that. I am going. Sadiq is also interesting. I'll be honest. Sadiq, you got Sanat, and he's starting to play more, so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, continue to think about that. But Sadiq is kind of an interesting one there, too. You can make the argument, hey, he's just best player available, and you take him. But I'm going to go ahead and improve the pass rush. We're going to take David Bailey. Might be more of a DPR early on, but if there's anybody that knows a little bit about how to work with more of these undersized guys, I think Dan Quinn would be a nice little mission to add in for David Bailey into the pass rush, help out that team a little bit more. Even offensive guard, right? They'll get, they're all right. Sam Cosme will come back, hopefully at the end of the season, and help them there at that right guard position. Any which way, we got the Broncos, who second half, something clicked there. I mean, some costly penalties from the Eagles, too, helped the Broncos. But overall, Bo Nix got it together in that second half. I thought played excellent. Ingram had a great second half. And Sadiq is here. It's still interesting at improving the linebacker position here at this point. I just mentioned linebacker. But I do think a lot of these guys here, we can get a really good one on day 2. So I don't know if I'm going to force a linebacker here. They need a guy that can cover a little bit better. I mean, Dre Greenlaw is really their cover man, and Singleton's not really that type of guy, which is understandable, right? Barkley's going to beat Singleton. That's really what it is. So another area I think that is a sneaky need is that center position of the future. With Connor Lew and the way he's been playing right now, though, he might be more of a round 2 guy, maybe even a come back to school guy, because he's one of the younger players in this draft class, too. So there's that. I'm going to go a different route here, and I'm going to take a trade down. Denver, let's go ahead and move back a little bit from the Rams. I know Rams fans like, geez, you think we're going to need a quarterback that much? Yeah, I may be. I don't know. I clearly, in this mock draft, I do. But golly, I'm gonna make a trade, though, here. A team that, I know the Raiders are interesting, but they just have so many other needs. This is the problem, right? I mean, you think to yourself, do we take a quarterback here? We just extended Geno Smith. You know what I mean? My hands are a little bit tied in that sort of realm, so I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm trading up with the Browns, coming up for a quarterback in the first round, and they've got a lot of draft picks, so I think that does help a lot out here for them too. I'm going to move 35 to 25. We're going to give up a third rounder, and we're going to give up a second rounder next season to move up into the first round again, and we are going to be selecting a quarterback. We are going to be going with the guy that's still on the board. There's a couple of them. Remember, we've only taken one quarterback certainly off the board as of right now. I am going to take Ty Simpson from Alabama. So far, I've been really impressed with Ty Simpson. I watched the Georgia tape. I think what he does so well with him in his film is that he gets from 1 to 2 to the backside so quickly in his process. He hits those backside digs consistently, and I'm going to highlight him. I know you're probably going to see him a ton in the mock drafts right now, and people are going to go crazy on it. So am I. Ty Simpson, quarterback going here. And for the Rams, I am going to take a quarterback here as well, and I'm going to take a developmental quarterback, LaNorris Sellers. I think Sellers is definitely a prospect that still has all the elite traits. Just the processing, can he get the most out of it? He's going to need a little bit of time. Let him sit behind Stafford for a season, feel a little bit better about that and what he could be in a year time development. Give him the Patrick Mahomes treatment here for Sean McVay and this offense for the Rams. Speaking of Patrick Mahomes over here, and here he is, 27 for the Chiefs, where the Kansas City Chiefs will be playing tonight and on Monday Night Football versus the Jaguars. Can't wait for that game. I think it's going to be a good one. But I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of a different route. I'm going to go ahead and take one of my guys in the draft class, Jonah Coleman, the Washington running back. I think he is one of the best players in college football. I think he's one of the most underrated college football players right now. Coleman is a beast. Does he have insane long speed? No, but he's so difficult to tackle when he gets in the open field. He's a freaking bowling ball. What the heck, right? You know what I'm saying? On the Eagles. Oh, Eagles. Eagles fans are going to hate me so much about what I'm going to do here. Just kidding. Now I'm just going to take Kenyon Sadiq here. Oregon Duck. He is BPA. It's probably a pick I do a lot. I think Edge is also a spot here, but I think Sadiq is just best player available. If he's on the board, Goddard's a free agent. And I think there's a really good chance Goddard comes back, but overall, we'll see what happens. Sadiq would be a plug-and-play starter for them and be a big-time impact. He can block decently as well. Like, he has good technique as a blocker. He's not going to, like, overpower a ton of dudes, but he's got actually really good technique. He's opened some lanes for the Ducks. Competition isn't the strongest, so there's that. Any which way, on to the Bills. They're 29 overall. I'm going with one of my favorite players in the class. He's going to shock you a little bit. He's a little down the board. Chase Bisontis. I say that quietly because I don't want it to get too much hype just yet. Chase Bisontis is insane. I think he's the left guard over there at Texas A&M. I love his film so much. I'm going to be doing a breakdown on him very, very soon. As soon as I can get to the next player breakdown, he may be the next guy that I do. I think Bisontis is an excellent pass protector. Could be a plug-and-play David Edwards replacement for them and be a long-term starter at that left guard position. Bisontis, he's a good athlete, solid athlete, to put it that way. I thought he has some really good run blocking, too, lately. He's not an elite run blocker. Sometimes get a little bit over his toes, but he's got some powerful punch, man. He really does. And I think that he is such a smooth pass protector. And that's really what separates him with Bisontis from some of these other guys, is his smooth pass protecting operation ability. On to the Bucks here at number 30. They're such a good football team, man. They don't have a whole ton of football needs right now. I am actually going to be making a little bit of a spicy maneuver. I am going to be trading this pick with the New York Jets. Going to come back in for that 5th-year contract for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You're saying to yourself, whoa, what the heck is he doing out here, right? Where am I going with this, right? Jets don't have to give up too much. We're going to give up, we'll give up a couple of later round picks here, something like this, something like that, a little shebang, maybe something like that for next year, who knows, but the deal's done, regardless of the picks, okay? I'm not going to get into too much of the hoops and the hooplas of all that. I'm coming up for a wide receiver. This wide receiving class is pretty dang good. I'm going Chris Brazzell II from Tennessee, formerly of Tulane. This dude has been awesome this year at Tennessee. He is a solid route runner. He's got great size and wingspan. This dude is a monster catch radius, making plays consistently above the rim or with contact. Yes, we need another guy on the outside to pair along with Garrett Wilson. Besides Garrett Wilson, it's Garrett Wilson. I mean, that's all we have. I mean, Mason Taylor has been pretty good, but we need another receiving target. I'm going to go get Dante Moore, a big-time target with Brazzell. On to the Detroit Lions here at number 31 overall. Detroit, pass rush was a little limited this week. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson still making plays, of course. I still think long-term, though, it is an option. Center is an area that they need to think about for the future. Connor Lew is on the board. As I mentioned before, not the greatest film thus far this season. Still a really, really talented football player. At the end of the first round, I can stomach this, and I do think that it would make sense to go ahead and give themselves a center at pick number 31. And even if he's still super talented, right? Really good athlete, very young player as well, and continue to improve the technique a little bit. The dude is definitely still a first-round type of player here, especially in this draft class. So let's go ahead and get our center of the long haul, and hopefully it can be that Frank Ragnow of the future. On to the Super Bowl champion Indianapolis Colts. That's great to say for Indiana Jones here. They're just in a spot where we're looking at BPA at this point, and I think linebacker is probably their biggest need. As I said earlier, I just don't know if I'm going to take a linebacker right now when I think that the value on day 2 is so good. like Torian York, that guy from Texas A&M, that dude can play. May not be an insane athlete, but I think he's a really good football player. Whit Weeks, CJ Allen, Anthony Hill, Deontay Lawson, like Jake Golday is really good from Cincinnati, a little bit of an underrated football player. So you've got some dudes at linebacker. Lander Barton's been playing good this season. So yeah, I think that the value later on makes so much sense. And I'm going to trade down here as well. We're pulling some trade. I wanted to pull a little bit of fun here in this draft. I want to pull a little more trades for the Mock Monday. And I am going to trade up here with the Miami Dolphins. I'm coming up back into the first round here. And we are going to give up a pick. Let's go with how about we give up 87? Let's give up 87 for this pick here to move up 8 spots back into the first round. We're coming in for a wide receiver of the future. Get our Tyreek Hill replacement right. He's a different player than Tyreek Hill, but Chris Bell, he has been playing insane. He really has. Chris Bell is lights out right now. He's one of those dudes where you get him the ball on a slant, you better not take the wrong angle because he's so freaking explosive. And he might even be more explosive than AJ Brown. He really might be. I don't know. It's tough to say, but he is so physically gifted that yes, he needs to improve the drops a little bit. Overall, this guy's got so much talent, and I think he's worth that 5th-year contract trade up to be able to get him and get another good wide receiver in there to complement Jalen Waddle. It's not the biggest need, but the Patriots being a fun option too with Vrabel looking for that. Yeah, interesting one too. But any which way, there it is, our 1-round mock draft with trades. I think we had like 4 trades in this one. We had 3 quarterbacks going, I think, in the first round. That's about it. Yeah, we had Ty Simpson, LaNorris Sellers. So kind of a fall on quarterbacks. Dante Moore, the only guy in the top 10 right now. So a little bit of a shakeup this week, I guess, right? I'm switching it up a little bit. But the quarterbacks, I do still think there's some talent here in this class. It's just right now, maybe it's a little bit lower in where some of these projections and stuff like that right now. We need to continue to see a little bit more as we get into a deeper schedule. So that's it here for the mock draft. We got a 2-round Tuesday, though, coming tomorrow, and we'll be doing some more craziness. So get ready. Oh, it's going to be, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. But I'll have a good one. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow and see how it rocks for that 2-round Tuesday.